Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 16. I'm going to read verses 13 to 16. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. And how many master archers out there, even in the Olympics, that can shoot arrows from one continent to another? None. This isn't talking about regular archers, and this isn't talking about regular arrows. This is talking about nuclear-tipped ICBMs, which are going to be shot to the ends of the earth during World War III. Verse 14, Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again, until they come upon the earth. And when these missiles and these other plagues and judgments that Yahweh Bahasham Yahavushai is getting ready to bring comes, nothing but the Most High will be able to stop them. And he's not going to stop them until they complete their purpose. Mass death, destruction, and judgment on you wicked people, especially in the United States of America. The fire, the nuclear fire, is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. And when these nukes are shot to the ends of the earth, they're going to burn. And in the United States of America, they're going to burn for a very long time, because the United States of America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon in the scriptures, is going to be completely wiped off the face of the earth. And everybody in it that's not of the elect of the nation of Israel. And you've got, refineries here, gasoline, these cars, these different appliances, even nuclear plants and nuclear silos that are just going to be fuel for the fire to keep this fire kindled for a while. Verse 16, like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. And we're coming into the times where these mighty archers, these silos and other launch platforms are about to shoot these nuclear-tipped arrows to the ends of the earth. Which brings me to the first article I'll be going to on Newsweek.com. Map shows nuclear powers around the world. Remember, the archer that bendeth the bow and shooteth those arrows to the ends of the earth. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace think tank this week wrote that the prospects for negotiating formal arms control treaties appear dim as the world's foremost nuclear powers slide into a new era of competition and indirect conflict, though this conflict is going to become very direct. And it's all through the will of the Most High that these nations, especially the U.S. and Russia, have been pulling out of these nuclear weapons bans and peace treaties and are getting back on, that nuclear war footing to fulfill biblical prophecy. This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. The king's heart or mind, his lahab, is in the hand of Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Nothing will happen to avert these prophecies, these nukes, from being shot to the ends of the earth. Because as it just said, the king's heart, these rulers and these military leaders, their mind is in the hand of the Most High. Contrary to popular belief, there is no free will out here. The Most High, like a master chess player, is moving everybody in place to fulfill their roles and hit that ultimate checkmate. This is Isaiah 55, verse 11. so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. And the mouth of the Most High is the prophets, out on the highways and byways preaching his word contained in the scriptures, as well as putting up video epistles like this online. And as we get closer and closer to the end of all things, we can clearly see that the spirit of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi is dealing with GMS, or Great Millstone. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Point blank, period. These biblical prophecies will come to their fulfillment. X out some of these. There are believed to be some 12,000 nuclear warheads spread between the world's 9 nuclear-armed nations, more than 10,000 of which sit in America and Russian arsenals. The two adversaries are by far the best armed states in terms of nuclear weapons, with China at 500, France at 290, the UK at 225, India at 172, and Pakistan at 170, all owning hundreds of their own. Israel and North Korea, with an estimated number of 90 and 50 warheads respectively, are the final 2 members of the nuclear club, with Pyongyang, the youngest, having detonated its first atomic weapon in 2006. And hey, that's cap. We don't know how many nuclear missiles, these nations, individually have. And besides, why would you publish that information publicly to let your enemy know what you have? This is just to quell, the fears of the average person out here. Because while 12,000 and 10,000 and a couple of hundred sound like a lot, if you heard they had missiles in the hundreds of thousands, people would be running for the hills. But we know through the scriptures that it's much more than this. This is Revelation chapter 9. I'm going to read verses 16 to 19. And the number of the army of horsemen were 200,000. And in Hebrew, there isn't a word for million, but this is talking about 200 million. And I heard the number of them, and that's talking about nuclear missiles. And that's how many are going to hit the United States of America and turn it into the biblical lake of fire. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. Talking about how these missiles are what? Made out of metal and other materials like that. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. That warhead, and a lion is very fierce, just as those warheads are very fierce. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone, that nuclear destruction. By these was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. And in the scriptures, you've got 3 parts of men. One part is the sons of God, the sons of the righteous, the children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. The second part is the sons of men, which is speaking of these heathen nations, these other heathen nations like your Moabites, the so-called Chinese, the Ishmaelites, or the so-called Arabs, the Hamites, or the so-called Africans, etc., etc. And then that final third part of men, the sons of the wicked, the biblical Edomites, or these so-called white people, as they're known today. And everywhere these Edomites dwell, where that third part of men dwell, is going to be hit by that fire, by that smoke, and by that brimstone issuing out of the mouths of those missiles. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And when it says they got tails like serpents, When a missile's firing, what does it leave behind? That smoke trail, and it looks like the tail of a serpent. The deteriorating global security situation has piqued long-held concerns over the lack of progress on arms control measures. The threat of nuclear escalation has hung over Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine since it began in February 2022, with that operation coming after years of deteriorating relations between Moscow and its Western rivals. The war has prompted closer cooperation between Russia and China, as well as with the rogue state of North Korea and nuclear aspirant Iran. NATO leaders, including former President Joe Biden, have been clear in their concern over a direct clash between nuclear powers and vowed not to involve Allied troops directly in the conflict for fear of nuclear escalation. Fellow NATO leaders in France, Germany, and the UK have expressed similar sentiments. The Kremlin has been less hesitant, with President Vladimir Putin and several of his allies repeatedly hinting at nuclear, whether strategic or tactical weapons used against Ukraine or its Western backers. In March, Putin warned that Russia was ready for a nuclear showdown. And hey, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord to moveth it whithersoever he will. The Most High is going to use Russia as the main nation to lead these other nations in shooting nukes onto the United States of America. Which brings me to my next article on Newsweek.com. Russia issues warning over U.S. Arctic plan confrontation. The Kremlin has accused the U.S. of confrontation with Moscow after Pentagon's updated Arctic strategy outlined how Moscow is collaborating with China militarily in the North Pole region. Russia has increased its military presence in the Arctic by reopening and modernizing Soviet-era bases and airfields, while China has invested heavily into polar exploration and research. And Russia's, remilitarization of the Arctic includes nuclear capabilities as well. That's one paragraph I'm looking for. Where's it at? Here it is. The Arctic strategy described threats posed by Russia's nuclear, conventional, and special operations. It was also looking to carry out lower-level destabilizing activities aimed at the U.S., including through global positioning system, GPS jamming, and military flights. And hey, the U.S. knows that Russia in the Arctic poses a major threat to them. And hey, it's also stated in the scriptures as well. That's it with that article. But now I'm going to go to Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the North Country. And what's north of America? Alaska, that Arctic Ocean region, and then Russia. And as I just said, as we just read in that article, Russia's been building back up its military, nuclear capabilities in that Arctic Ocean region. And the U.S. is scrambling to play catch up. And, you can look it up. Russia shooting missiles from itself across the north, and across, from the Arctic to reach the U.S. would be the shortest trajectory time for those missiles to reach the U.S. And also Russia now has those hypersonic missiles, which are also nuclear capable, that can get past any defense that the U.S. military has right now, and that assembly of great nations unto that North country, Russia, are not just their allies like China, Iran, or North Korea, but also America's own allies, Germany, Britain, France, these other nuclear NATO nations, which at some point during World War III are going to turn against her and ally themselves with Russia, and they're all together going to shoot those 200,000 arrows onto the United States of America. Read Revelation chapter 17, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. The 10 horns, speaking of the EU or European Union, beginning with its first 10 common markets back when it was known as the European Economic Community, and then the beast is NATO. These shall hate the whore that rides upon the beast, America, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows, their nuclear missiles, shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And hey, mainstream news is starting to catch up to biblical prophecy. Nuclear weapons will be used and World War III will take place. And you can pretty much say we are in the beginning of World War III right now. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I. And behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. World War II, which is past, and World War III, which you can say that we are in the beginning stages of. And what it's going to culminate into and its finale is going to be with those nuclear missiles. This is back in Jeremiah chapter 50. I'm going to jump down to verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, Russia, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth, from the ends of the earth, that assembly of great nations unto the north country. They shall hold the bow and the lance, those nuclear missiles and their silos and other launch platforms. They are cruel and will not shew mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon, that virgin daughter. And when you go to Psalms 137, read verses 7 to about verse 9, you'll see that these Edomites are synonymous with the daughter of Babylon. And like I've been saying throughout the video, when these nuclear missiles hit the United States of America, they're going to turn them into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. Verse 40, as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof. And how was ancient Sodom and Gomorrah overthrown? With fire and brimstone from the sky. And besides being known as the daughter of Babylon in the scriptures, America is also known as spiritual Sodom, as well as Egypt in Revelation 11 verse 8. And it's very easy to see why America is known as spiritual Sodom. Just look at what happened last month in June. So this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah is going to get hit with that modern fire and brimstone, saith Yahweh. So shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. After that long burning takes place and the dust settles, man, woman, or child will never set foot on this cursed land ever again. And it's only harsh desert creatures are going to dwell here. Verse 39, therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. And the former United States of America is going to stand as an eternal memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looked like, how not to govern the earth, and what the judgment and punishment was for afflicting the children of Israel. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.